At exactly 5 a.m. inside the Henan Province, a warrior monk opens his eyes. There is no loud alarm clock or smartphone glowing in his quiet room. Instead, he immediately steps outside into the cool, natural morning daylight. The early morning sun signals his brain to completely wake up naturally. This instant blast of light fires up his energy for the entire day. This is the start of a brutal 24-hour human training schedule. Most people view Shaolin martial arts as flashy stunts for television screens. They think it is just standard punching, kicking, and balancing on sharp spears. But the true reality inside the temple is a highly calculated masterclass. They use a rigid daily timeline and extreme pressure to rewrite human biology. Here is the first major shocking truth about their daily routine. Their intense exercises completely avoid building massive, bulky bodybuilder muscles. Big, bulky muscles require too much oxygen and slow a fighter down. Instead, they focus heavily on forging iron-hard bones and spring-like tendons. They lock themselves into a strict plant-based diet to stay perfectly light. Yet their dense, lean muscle fibers generate an impossible amount of explosive power. They turn the human body into a high-speed, high-tensile organic machine. This is the real secret behind the ultimate warrior. The monk's morning routine begins with zero modern distractions. He entirely avoids phones, television screens, or notification sounds. Looking at bright phone screens early in the morning destroys your focus. It triggers unhealthy brain chemical spikes that ruin your attention span. The warrior monk avoids this modern trap to protect his mental clarity. At 5 a.m., he drinks a large cup of warm water. This water is heated precisely between 37 and 40 degrees Celsius. He drinks this entire warm cup on an empty stomach. The warm liquid immediately relaxes the smooth muscles of his stomach. It actively boosts local blood flow to his entire digestive tract. This simple water habit triggers a natural muscle contraction reflex. It completely cleanses his internal organs within 10 to 30 minutes. This rapid internal clearance prepares his stomach for intense movement. He clears his digestive system before any hard exercise begins. At 5:15 a.m., the monk begins silent seated meditation. This ancient practice is traditionally known as sitting qigong. He uses a highly structured breathing pattern to control his heart. He follows a strict and unyielding box breathing ratio. He inhales deeply through his nose for exactly 5 seconds straight. This rigid sequence slows his breathing down to a crawl. He drops from normal breathing down to just 3 breaths per minute. This extreme deceleration activates a powerful calming nerve in his chest. It stimulates his wandering vagus nerve to release a soothing chemical. This natural calming chemical is called acetylcholine. It binds tightly to the cells of his heart's natural pacemaker. This physical mechanism forces his resting heart rate to drop instantly. The slow, steady pulse calms his brain's emotional fear centers. It completely downregulates chronic stress, panic, and daily anxiety. It primes his brain's executive networks for high-stress operational demands. He builds an unbreakable wall of mental focus before the sun rises. At 5:35 a.m., the monk transitions into explosive morning calisthenics. He trains completely on an empty stomach to optimize his metabolism. He starts by slowly moving every single joint in his body. This careful movement thins the thick, lubricating fluid inside his joints. It keeps his cartilage perfectly slick, warm, and protected from injury. Next, he transitions into explosive stamina training across the courtyard. He performs intense running and jumping drills on the cold stone floors. He executes dynamic flexibility routines to safely stretch his entire body. This sequence recruits long, connected lines of muscle and tissue. He targets the deep, stabilizing core muscles of his stomach. He strengthens the large posture muscles along his spine and hips. Under these fasting conditions, his body relies entirely on stored energy. His working muscles burn through stored sugars and natural fatty acids. Because he is fasting, his natural growth hormones stay highly elevated. These elevated hormones preserve his lean muscle tissue perfectly during stress. His body burns fat while keeping his raw muscle mass intact. His natural insulin levels drop down to their absolute baseline minimum. This low insulin level creates incredible structural metabolic flexibility. By 6:40 a.m., he transitions to group lessons and loud chanting. He recites ancient texts alongside hundreds of other practicing monks. The deep vocal vibrations stimulate vital calming nerves inside his throat. This focused vocal work further resets his physical nervous system. At exactly 7:45 a.m., the monk finally sits down for breakfast. He refuels his body with a simple, clean meal after hours of fasting. He eats light grains to keep his blood sugar perfectly steady. He avoids heavy refined sugars to prevent energy crashes later on. He drinks fresh water to replace everything lost to morning sweat. His body enters a temporary state of quiet metabolic recovery. His muscle tissues absorb the clean nutrients to prepare for hard labor. At 9 a.m., his attention shifts directly to heavy manual labor. This grueling work block lasts for 2.5 hours straight. The temple managers completely ban the use of modern power tools. Monks must maintain the entire massive mountain property using raw muscle. They carry massive water buckets up hundreds of steep stone steps. They swing heavy steel axes to chop wood for the kitchen fires. They sweep giant stone courtyards using heavy handmade wooden brooms. Every single chore is performed with perfect focused athletic posture. They utilize multi-planar movements to build real functional structural power. This non-stop lifting develops incredible functional grip and forearm strength. It forces his joints to work through full, natural ranges of motion. This active recovery block flushes toxic waste products from his muscles. It builds incredible work capacity without overstressing his central nervous system. At 11:30 a.m., the monk walks to the dining hall for lunch. The traditional temple diet is entirely plant-based and free of meat. He eats a simple meal of soy tofu and steamed wheat bread. This traditional steamed wheat bread is commonly called mantu. From a performance standpoint, this basic bread contains a powerful secret weapon. Wheat germ is packed with a natural plant compound called octacosanol. This unique nutrient works like a chemical switch inside his muscle cells. It activates an energy enzyme called AMP-activated protein kinase. This active enzyme moves sugar transporters straight to his cell membranes. It accelerates sugar and glycogen storage inside his tired muscles. It completes this storage process without requiring high insulin spikes. Octacosanol boosts his core mitochondrial energy enzymes by a massive 16%. This boost elevates his body's overall oxygen transportation capacity. It allows his muscles to burn fat more efficiently for workout fuel. It dramatically delays the painful buildup of fatiguing toxins during training. He recovers rapidly without eating heavy inflammatory animal proteins. He entirely avoids the heavy caloric excess of modern athletic diets. At 12:40 p.m., the monk takes a timed 80-minute afternoon nap. This quiet rest block allows his muscle tissue to rebuild completely. It triggers a natural release of restorative growth hormones. His brain seals in the physical movements learned that morning. At exactly 2 p.m., the brutal afternoon kung fu practice begins. This is a massive, unbroken training block lasting over 3 hours. He begins with the legendary lower body stance called Ma Bu. He places his feet more than twice his shoulder width apart. His toes face forward and his feet stay perfectly parallel. He pushes his knees outward to align directly over his toes. This strict alignment prevents dangerous inward collapsing of the knee joints. He sinks his hips low until his thighs are completely flat. His knees bend at a sharp, frozen 90-degree angle. He keeps his spine perfectly stacked and his pelvis neutral. This posture places his center of mass directly over his support. It generates extreme bending forces at his knee and hip joints. His thigh and glute muscles must sustain a long, isometric contraction. At a 90-degree angle, knee joint stress reaches its absolute peak. This intense, crushing pressure cuts off blood flow inside his thighs. The local oxygen starvation forces his nervous system to adapt fast. It recruits his largest, most powerful fast-twitch muscle fibers to survive. Over time, this intense weight-bearing stress alters his lower skeleton. It forces his cells to increase bone density at his hips. His leg bones become incredibly strong to resist heavy bending moments. Next comes the violent conditioning process known as iron shirt. Monks repeatedly slam their bare forearms against solid wooden posts. They strike their shins against heavy bags packed with rough sand. They hit their bodies using solid stone slabs for hours. This intense impact causes thousands of microscopic bone deformations. Specialized pressure-sensing cells inside his bones detect this mechanical strain. When the impact strain crosses a strict biological threshold, it triggers. Special touch-activated channels on the cell membranes pop wide open. This opening causes a rapid rush of calcium into the cells. This calcium influx activates a powerful internal survival signaling pathway. This pathway stops the natural breakdown of old bone tissue entirely. It orders bone-building cells to deposit dense new mineral layers. They repair the microfractures with tough type 1 collagen fibers. They pack the bone matrix with hard hydroxyapatite minerals. This continuous healing loop creates a reinforced, thick skeletal shield. His arms and shins become as hard as solid structural steel. Here is a counterintuitive truth about this extreme physical stress. Modern gym routines focus heavily on fluid-filled muscle growth for size. They use moderate weights and high repetitions to pump up muscles. Shaolin conditioning completely avoids this heavy, non-functional muscle bulk. Useless, bulky muscle demands too much oxygen and slows a warrior down. Instead, holding maximum isometric tension targets his tendons directly. The extreme tension signals specialized cells to change his tendon structure. They release a powerful building enzyme called lysyl oxidase into tissues. This enzyme creates strong chemical crosslinks between collagen strands. These tight crosslinks directly increase his overall tendon stiffness. His tendons become ultra-stiff steel springs that store massive energy. During explosive movements, his muscle fibers barely change their length. His stiff tendons stretch and recoil to snap out massive force. This maximizes his speed and reduces his body's electrical delays. He delivers devastating impact power without adding heavy body mass. During this long block, the monk alternates his tasks frequently. He switches from explosive kung fu forms to intense weapon training. Then, he heads back out to perform heavy agricultural farm work. He lifts heavy tools and works the rugged temple soil. Next, he transitions directly into reading deep Buddhist texts. This constant task variation keeps his brain completely fresh. It prevents neural saturation in his motor and focus networks. It allows his body to flush toxins without stopping purposeful movement. Even their daily drinking habits follow a strict traditional law. Monks entirely ban the use of ice-cold water during training. They completely avoid modern engineered sports drinks and sodas. They only drink lukewarm water heated between 15 and 37 degrees Celsius. Cold fluids trigger an immediate shock response inside the stomach. This shock causes stomach blood vessels to constrict tightly. It slows down gastric emptying and ruins gut absorption rates. Warm water absorbs almost instantly through the small intestine. It maintains steady blood flow to his internal digestive organs. It keeps his muscles fully hydrated under the blazing sun. His plant-based diet provides natural sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Salted peanuts, legumes, and vegetable broths maintain his salt balance. This perfect balance prevents dangerous salt drops during heavy sweating. At 5:10 p.m., the monk returns to evening lessons and chanting. He sits quietly with the community to sing rhythmic chants. This long chanting block stimulates vital, calming nerves in his throat. It actively downregulates his body's active stress hormone production. It transitions his entire system out of a high-alert fight state. At 6:50 p.m., the monk finally sits down for dinner. He consumes another light, perfectly balanced plant-based whole food meal. This meal avoids heavy fats to ensure easy overnight digestion. His body uses the clean nutrients to fuel cellular repair systems. He drinks more warm water to stabilize his internal fluid levels. At 9 p.m., the final night Kung Fu session begins. This hour-long practice focuses entirely on fine movement refinement. He reviews his forms slowly to build deep neural pathways. This practice wraps his nerve fibers in thick protective insulation. This process permanently seals his physical martial skills into place. At 10 p.m., the monk enters a mandatory deep sleep lockout. He sleeps on a hard, simple bed in total darkness. While he sleeps, his brain flushes away daytime metabolic waste. His body aggressively heals microfractures and repairs muscle fibers. Let's compare this monastic lifestyle to a modern professional athlete. An elite professional MMA fighter trains for 20 hours a week. He spends the rest of his day lounging on a couch. The Shaolin monk sustains 45 to 50 hours of physical output weekly. His day blends brutal training, heavy labor, and mindful resting blocks. He maintains a continuous state of high calm focus at rest. He does not rely on expensive modern gear or synthetic powders. He builds elite human performance through perfect timing and timing alone. He aligned his biological rhythms completely with the natural world. He turned a strict spiritual routine into the ultimate physical engine. The results show the true power of the human machine. If you liked this video and want to see more, then please subscribe to the channel. It supports us a ton. See you in the next video.